Thanks so much. It's fascinating to see so many people over here. It's actually so wonderful that there are people over here from the company I first began working. It was 50 odd years ago, Mother Coach. So those relationships which got established then still exist, and that it's a very, very nice feeling to be in that space. So let me just, she's introduced me who I am, what I am. I think I just tell you how did this journey begin. Very simple, just to set the tone for when we get into the discussion with Harish. And Harish, thanks so much. It is a pleasure to have you here with me talking about the book. We have known each other for over 10 years. And it's not 10 years really, because a lot of what is in the book are those 10 years when Harish was very closely linked to my growth in the organization. It grew over many years, but I think a lot of what's gone in the book really stems into that space. So when I began, okay, let me put the record straight. Academically, I was exceedingly bright. Okay, now that's history, forgotten, has no value anymore. Okay, I'm just giving you this how the way things were emerging. I was very keen when I finished my master's in econometrics that I wanted to do good for society. And that meant I wanted to get into public service. Along the way, I moved off. I went to do my IAS and stuff like that, but I realized I cannot handle that kind of environment. And to me, probably district magistrate was where the biggest impact could happen. Thereafter, what? My dad was an academic. I wanted to do a doctorate. So again, questions came: am I ready for it? Where do I have to be? Will I leave the country? All those questions were coming in. So my priorities at that time were academics and public service, but I ended up in the corporate world. So you can imagine where I was headed: conflict, strong in academics, in a confused state, not doing what I wanted in academics, not doing public service, but coming into the corporate world. As I moved on, uh, 10 years down my journey of corporate life, I ended up with an FMCG organization for the first time. And I seem to be always doing things out of the ordinary. So after 10 years, I was joining FMCG business. That added another kind of complication to my life coming in at that stage. Couple of years later, we were on a family holiday in Hyderabad, and I'd gone up. You had those lovely, large, tall slides. I went up on that with my kids, and that's the last thing I remember. And the next thing, when I opened my eyes, I was out, and my kids were, he's now a strapping young kid of 43, but that thing was a 10-year-old, 8-year-old kid. They were good swimmers. They had pulled me out and they were pumping water out of me. Now, I'm not getting into details of that, but what triggered was my wife's father she had lost her father when she was all of 11. Yeah. So suddenly, life became ephemeral again, that here's the somebody you love. Is life going to be like this? So she began her journey to explore life and went to multiple courses, seeking, doing all those kind of programs. And then somebody recommended the Art of Living program to her. And I don't know why, amongst all the programs she had done, I said, I need to go and experience what my wife is going through, and I need to be there. And I went for my first Art of Living program. Now, I went in because of her. By then, I was heading sales at Cadbury, and I was living a frenetic life, traveling 4 days a week, coming back, trying to catch up in life, what is happening around me. It was chaotic, very stressful. I began feeling a strange level of calm when I began doing the courses. So, what began supporting her came to me as supporting myself. And gradually over the years, I don't know when the shift happened, where from there, I moved on the spiritual path. And that really is where this book takes off, where I have tried to document everything, not everything, the key messaging which I received in my long years, 30 years now with the art of living, and how I use those to implement them, embed them in the corporate world, how it impacted that and how it impacted me. So that is really the source of this book. It is again very interesting. I was in Moscow and She was there, and went up and asked him, "Listen, you caught hold of my finger. Where are you taking me?" And he just said, "I am taking you to the right place." That's all that he said. And today I find myself over here as an accidental author, you can call it. But I didn't expect I'd be here today writing a book and having each one of you come uh, to listen to what I'm saying. I hope it's valuable. But the messaging that I have received is very heartwarming, a lot of humility with what I'm saying that. Questions have been asked, why did I write this book? Clearly, there were two reasons. One is I've told you the kind of where I began my working life and where I reached. I thought I've been through one hell of a lot to come where I am. And I just wanted to share this with people. And the reason why I wanted to share this with people really was that, listen, what people tend to see, especially youngsters, is the veneer of success. Your face goes onto the book, and great CEOs, directors, whatever. But there is a huge journey behind it. There are ups and downs, there are successes, and there are failures. I found my way to come along the path through getting on the spiritual path, but that doesn't mean that's the only path which you can take to find yourself and move forward. But it worked for me. And it is to share with everybody that, listen, if I can do it, anybody can. And therefore, there is hope. There's always hope. So do not feel down that things are not working your way, the world is against you. All those things come up in your life. There is success in the future. And that is the other side of the mountain where you can be. So that really is a summary of where we are going to start. And there's another thing I need to announce, because I know we had said that Bhaskar is going to be here for unveiling the book and opening the session. Unfortunately, Bhaskar is probably at this time just walking out of the Bangalore airport. He'll never make it over here. But he has sent a message, and I'm going to have them play the video, please.
Hello, Sanjeev and Harish. I wish I could be there for the launch of this wonderful book, The Other Side of the Mountain. In fact, on this side of the mountain still, and Sanjeev has crossed over. What a wonderful theme. Spirituality, humility in leading a company. Sanjeev, I've known you as a CEO and as a friend for several years now. Wish you all the very best. You couldn't get a better guy than Harish Bhat, so accomplished to be there with you. Again, wish you the very best. It's a very unique Indian theme, and you have practiced it all your professional life. The other side of the mountain, from this side of the mountain, at Pokhara, Bhaskar.
I request Harish to join me up on stage. One is to unveil the book. Can you get the book, please? And Harish, I can't thank you enough for being here today.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this wonderful evening, and it's good to see a full house here to for the launch and discussion around Sanjeev's debut book, The Other Side of the Mountain. So, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the next 45 minutes to a 1 hour of conversation. You know, I have known Sanjeev now for many years, more than a decade. I knew him first when he was heading the India business of Tata Global Beverages, and then I knew him when he became the managing director and CEO of Tata Coffee. And throughout those years, you know, heading a business, he faced many, many challenging situations, like many corporate leaders face. And it was particularly so. In Tata Coffee, for instance, we were both on the board of the company together. And I know the challenges that the company faced and how he enabled the company to navigate those challenges. And one of the things I would always wonder when I saw him as MD and CEO was that he would face many of those challenges with a sense of calm. I've never known Sanjeev to lose that sense of calm. And whereas I used to lose my calm from time to time, uh, and I used to wonder, where is this coming from? Where is the sense of calm coming from that as a leader he has been able to take tough and sometimes very challenging decisions, yet being very calm and very thoughtful? And then one day, Sanjeev invited me to the Art of Living Foundation as part of a corporate series of talks, I think. And when I went there, I understood some of the work which was being done uh, by Guruji Sri Sri Ravi Shankar and what that meant to Sanjeev. Thereafter, I think a few months back, when Sanjeev shared the manuscript of this book with me, I eagerly picked up the manuscript and started reading it. And you won't believe it, I could not put the book down until I had finished reading it. It's a very gripping manuscript, very engaging. But like I've said in the foreword, it's a book that flows very easily. Simple narration, peppered with real life stories from Sanjeev's career and life, making it a very engaging read. But there are human insights for improvement on every single page. Now, whether it's managing anger or giving life your best, these themes resonated with me. The emotional content of these pages is very, very strong. And believe me, what you will read in these pages, certainly for me, it awakened my mind and also provided broad pointers for what one can do to maintain that sense of calm and achieve the happiness that the other side of the mountain really means. So this is a beautiful book, and I would encourage all of you, um, all of you who are interested in reading. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful book to pick up. It leaves you with some very useful life lessons. But I'm going to start this by asking Sanjeev a few questions, and I really want to start with the 26th of November 2008. How many of you remember what happened in Mumbai on 26th of November 2008? Can I have a show of hands? I think that's virtually everyone. So, Sanjeev, you begin this book with the narration of what happened at the Taj Mahal Hotel on the 26th of November 2008. You saw the hands go up. Everyone here remembers the tragic attack by terrorists at the Taj that evening, but you were actually there at the Taj. Tell us, what happened to you that evening? Tell all of us.
The nicer part, Harish, is that I can now talk about it and without the emotions linked to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is a huge, huge change which I have experienced and very consciously.
Mm. But take us back to that night.
I will take you
Where
back.
were you? What happened?
I will do that.
Yeah.
But there are different ways I can address what you're asking me. One is there's a physical part to it, what was happening over there. Then there's an emotional part to it, the mental awareness part of it. Then the more interesting part is where it took me from where I was, what happened going forward. And of course, outside what my family was going through, my wife Vinny is here, Akshay is here, what they were undergoing, which I will not address, best is to ask them what were the pressures they were going through at that moment of time. So very briefly on 26/11, there was cricket match, India, New Zealand, India, England, I think something was happening. Sorry? India, England. India, England. And I had just come after a long meeting. I had a shower. I was in my bathroom, sitting and watching the match.
So you were in a room of the Taj.
I was in the room, 360, I think.
The old wing or the
Old
new
wing,
wing? The old wing.
where it was all happening.
Okay.
And let me just jump way forward. I was reading a book by journalist Harish Baveja, Harinder, Baveja. And she wrote over there that the room 363 or 64 was the hub of the terrorists. And I didn't realize they were next door to me all that time. And you all have seen Dhurandhar possibly. And you have all those conversations coming. I was next door to all those conversations happening. No, so it was, I could hear crackers firing happening. I didn't know what was happening. So I stepped out. I was in my bathrobe. So I didn't go out further than that. Otherwise, knowing me, I would have walked down to the stairs and got caught. So I locked in and came away. The phones had got shut down, all that. So I actually went and called the Taj from my mobile saying, what is happening? They said, sir, there's a problem. Just shut your door. Keep your lights shut or whatever of that they began. The next, whatever number of hours was alone in the room, firing happening, glass breaking, what is supposed to be a sturdy, solid hotel room swinging like a little, what do you call it? The swings itself, with every grenade bursting over there. I could feel myself moving around that, and I could hear things falling out on the road. It was, and you're all alone at that moment of time. And so at that moment, it began with a little bit of wonder what is happening. But very rapidly, Harish, what took over was all those 14 years of meditation I had been doing
Yeah.
rapidly came into play to keep calm. And I'm going to go to the mental part of mental awareness part of it. By the way, before I go from there, did you all see in the coverage that was happening? There's a guy in the window with a towel around his head and waving to the crowd. How many of you saw that? That was me. So that was me waving to the crowd because she said, "Listen, the TV is here. Just wave to us." So I came out and waved to everybody. Okay. So to stay calm, the first thing was I had to call Vinny and say, "Listen, there's a terrorist attack, but I'm fine." Okay, and that was the first part which I had to do to keep them and stay calm over there. And I still remember thereafter, I said, I'm going to go into some meditation. I might be mixing the time zones or whatever, but this is broadly what happened. I said, first of all, I'm going to go to sleep. She said, are you out of your mind? How can you go to sleep right now when they might want to take you out or something or the other? You got to stay awake. So every half an hour, they would be calling me
Yeah.
to ensure that I'm up. Okay. And then, of course, meditation was happening. And I remember I had an iPod at that time. And I said, I want to listen to one of the discourses of Sri Sri. And I flipped my thing around. And guess what topic comes on the iPad and the iPod? It said intention, attention, manifestation. Now, to me, that was like, it's not a coincidence that this title comes and that's where I need to be. You have to put your intention to get out. You have to focus on activities, what you need to get out, so that you get out, it manifests. And therefore, I sat down and did all that. Listen, I might be take away from here. I'm in my bathrobe. Let me change. I switched into my trousers, blah, all that. I got my bags and I put my label in case I have to evacuate. Bags are left behind. They can see whose bags these are. I went through all that in a very methodical manner. The kid said, Dad, don't sit on the bed, sit on the ground in case you get caught in the crossfire, put towels at the bottom. All that was happening. Smoke was billowing in the room. I was scared to pull the flush because it would, sound would come and the terrorists would come
Yeah.
into my room. So all that was happening. And believe it or not, in the morning, when the fire brigade came to break open the windows, and I'm standing at the window and I'm saying, listen, I am all right. Go up and save those others who might be more needy. And I hung on. That really, to me, Harish, was the state of calm and collectedness which saw me through that part of it. And I knew at the back of our mind there's a grace which is there. And I sat on the ground and said, listen, I have done whatever I can. Now it's either the terrorist or the smoke or the fire brigade. One of them is going to get me. I have done everything I can. And we just sat down and surrendered myself and sat in peace.
So where, Sanjeev, it's strange, calm and meditation in the midst of a terrorist attack. Where do you think that came from? Where did that come from? Would that have happened to you, before you had entered the art of living or before you had found that part of spirituality in your life?
I don't think so, Harish. I
If-
would have been mortally scared, possibly. Everybody I've spoken to, they say, how the hell did you stay so calm? So I don't have anything to compare with because I went through it in this particular manner. But when I relate to what people have said, I think it's a blessing that I had gone through what I had.
So that's the incident, ladies and gentlemen, with which Sanjiv Sarin opens this book.
Can I just take
Yeah.
that?
Yes,
Which
please.
is going forward, you know, I see my growth into this path in three particular phases, Harish. One
Yeah.
was I began doing the practice and de stressing, all that was happening. And as I moved along, I just became a teacher. Not that I'd want to become a teacher, I was running after it. But that was again helping other people to de stress. So that was my second phase. Third phase was coincidentally, I had just left Cadbury, joined the Tata Group,
Yeah.
which was a fascinating place to be because the group itself supports human work, humanity.
Yeah.
And this incident happened. And I found a huge change in myself. One of the things that kept bugging me after I came out was why have I survived? Why has nobody else? Why are those people inside and I'm outside? You just feel a deep connection with everybody around. And so much of my work then went in introspection to grow and move outward to support people. So that was a very huge shift that I have found in myself from self to going outward to people.
If I may just ask Sanjeev before we move to the next question, when the fire brigade rescued you and you came out of the Taj that the next morning, as you said, what were the feelings on your mind?
You know, my mind was blank. There was no feeling or whatever. I didn't even feel, wow, I have been saved. I just have this vivid picture inside my mind. I'm coming out, I'm standing on the platform of the staircase of the fire brigade,
Yeah.
and I'm turning around and I'm seeing the Taj burning in front of me. That picture stays completely in my mind. No fear, no happiness, nothing. Happy that I've been saved and grateful to everybody who kept me alive over there.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Thank you for narrating that so candidly. I have observed you very closely, uh, both at Tata Global Beverages and Tata Coffee. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, one of the things I have noticed is your calm and thoughtful approach to leadership. There were many issues which came one after the other. Uh, I still remember the huge floods which happened at the time when you were MD and CEO. I still remember the entire panic around the Elephant Man conflict which happened, and many others that I can describe one after the other. But I have seen that you've never really let anger impact you, and many of these situations could potentially have provoked anger as well. Many of us on the board of directors would actually perhaps be provocative during those points of time, but Sanjeev would
Yes.
maintain a strange calm. See, he's agreeing immediately. So, uh, uh, so one of the themes that Sanjeev has written about in this book, which I think is very useful for many of us, certainly very useful for me, is managing anger rather than letting anger get the better of you. How many of you think this is a relevant theme to our lives, managing anger? I think so many hands going up. So I'm going to ask Sanjeev, how does he do this? What do you do in situations which can be very upsetting, frustrating, which you think are unfair to you, which someone's behavior upsets you, or what I may have asked as chairman of the board would have upset you? What do you do in such situations? How do you keep so calm? And what is the advice for people who are gathered here?
I don't know about the advice, Harish, because this is a very personal experience which I've had.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I have realized, it's a very personal mental game which you are into. Typically, you get angry because someone is not delivered, quality is not good, time schedules haven't been met. All those are happening, it is causing this pressure. The question to ask yourself is, what has been my role in this? Okay. A, let's take somebody is not delivered. Have I communicated expectations very clearly? Have I understood the capabilities? Have I sat down and provided all the inputs required? Are the deliverables very clear? Now, this might sound very scientific and straightforward, but at that moment, it just needs you to think of the other person who's receiving it. That is it clear. So typically, it is your own expectations which you have set, which are not getting met, which creates this anger. Okay, that is a critical part of this. Can you distance yourself from this issue which is there? Because in that split moment, the minute you start questioning yourself, why did this happen? Do you think this person could have had a problem at home and therefore he's come in? Is this a behavior which is regular or is it a one off?
Yeah.
If it's a one off, it doesn't make a difference. It's all right. The minute you start questioning yourself, the need to get angry drops because you lost that angry moment. And then I heard Shrishi telling us that listen, anger is the price you pay for somebody else's mistakes.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, if it is as straightforward as
Yeah.
that, why would you lose your cool if somebody else is making the error? Right? So I think you have to just sit back and say, listen, hang on. What is happening? Why is all this happening? And if I have some time, can I just relate to you in a coaching experience
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
why
through?
not? Why not?
So there was this very senior marketing director of a FMCG who I was coaching a couple of months back, and one of the issue was anger management,
Okay.
and that was the feedback given. And we began talking to this person, him, her, or whatever, doesn't make a difference. So one was that listen, they believed that people were not competent, they were not doing their job, and at the end of it, everything comes back to me. These are the kind of words coming my way, and I flare up. So the
Is
question-
what that gentleman told you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we began digging in a bit, and question asked was similar, like I said earlier. Okay, the person who has not delivered, how have you communicated the process? Have you discussed deliverables? Have you discussed a review process? And when the answers were coming as no, it was very clear that you got to look inwards and not outward.
Mhm.
That's one example saying, okay, person realized that, listen, yes, and made suitable changes. Another wonderful thing we did was we went into a visualization exercise, and I told her, listen, look at all the people who aggravate you. Do you identify any one particular strength in them? Went into a state of exploring and nodded yes. The next question was, do you think each one of them comes to office to work to give the best of themselves? She said yes. So the next question to her was, if people are competent, they are all coming to do their best over here, what are you getting angry about? So it works. Just this awareness, a sense of awareness that this, you just have to distance yourself a little. It sounds very simplistic, but a lot of practice is required through meditation, calmness, that you can step away. Like Kavi does say himself, na, that it is response and not reaction.
Yeah.
So the minute you switch to the response level, life becomes much easier. So that to me is one of the biggest things which I have experienced and learned along the journey, Harish.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Thank you for that. I want to move to another theme that Sanjeev is covering in this book before we come to the end of the discussion and open up for questions. One of the key themes you cover here is about aligning the head, the heart, and the hand. Aligning the head, the heart, and the hand. What do you mean by this? And particularly, can you share a story from your life where this principle became very important to you to align head, heart, and hand?
So this realization, Harish, about the head, heart, and hand actually came when I began reflecting about the book. It was a cathartic moment for me, really, because in my early days when I was in college, you end up doing a whole lot of things, non-academic,
Yeah.
performing exceedingly well, rounded career, building your CV, all that was happening, and I know where I was taking shortcuts, and I suffered because of that. And then when I went back and got an admission into the master's level, that was a miracle as far as I was concerned, because with my performance at the undergrad level, I wouldn't have given myself admissions. But it happened. Then you got to grab the opportunity with both the hands. And I know I began working very hard. exceedingly hard. I would be the last man leaving the campus, first man to be there.
Yeah.
All that was happening. And I did exceedingly well, walked out with a gold medal for Bombay University. Much, much later, when I was reflecting, I realized that, listen, it was not only the hard work which kept me going.
What else was it then?
Because I was working hard, my understanding of the subject grew substantially.
Right?
The realization of people around me went up significantly that here's a competent guy. And I began loving the subject. Now, when you start loving something, the hard work is no longer hard work. It's part of the process. It's almost like when I was in teaching and I had to go to the Baikula prison to teach over there. I would get up at 5 in the morning, go there, 80 prisoners in a room for 30 people, take the courses, come back, wash up, get to work. Very, very strainful.
Yeah.
But the gratitude to see the people over there, what is doing to them. One of them at the end of the program gets up and says, everybody I love and is my brother, I have found in this place. Why do I have to go out? Now, when these kind of things come back to you, it's no longer stressful. It's gratitude.
That must have been a very gratifying moment when you stood up
Exceedingly
and said that.
gratifying.
Yeah.
Exceedingly gratifying, Harish. Money, nothing can pay for this kind of words which come back to you. So this head, heart, and hand really came from there. And if you ask me to suggest an incident, but before that, when I used this model on my past, I still think my first future career was I was flitting through head, heart, and heart, very casual. MA
Yeah.
economics, free flowing
Yeah.
into the hard corporate world.
Yeah.
Midway, I think heart and hand met very well, exceedingly well. I think the big shift happened 2611, probably, and coming with the Tata Group who nurtured the heart component. And that really was an exceedingly fulfilling role as far as I was concerned. And I'm going to give you an example. You touched upon the rain issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that very, very well.
So let
Yeah.
me share what happened. There was a huge deluge that had happened, I think 2017 or 18, and some of our plantations had just washed away. The first thing for me was the angst, what has happened to get there. And that to me itself was, when you are spiritually reaching out to people, it's not a tick in the box that I have to be there. That surge is coming inside. The gut is saying, I got to be there, I got to be there, I got to be there. And we went over there. I think you came along with me. And we saw what was huts and plantations was mudslides. And at that time, all the people had been taken away from there, put into barracks.
This is in Coorg.
In Coorg.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Coorg. Had been put into barracks, food had been given, blankets had been given, torches had been, all that had happened. So if I was to look at as a manager, head and hand, I think it was a fabulous job. You've done what you needed to do to rehabilitate them. To me, it did not feel right.
Why? Because they had got whatever they
They've got-
needed to. Yeah.
So to me, were they mentally in a state of peace? To me, that was a paramount. So we went and spoke to these people, and each one said, I can't sleep at night. I get dreams, the sound of all that had happened, the mud coming towards us, all that was happening. Not acceptable. So I went to meet Sri and said, this is what is happening. We had a couple of teachers come, do work with the plantation workers, and we thought we've done the job. Again, it did not seem complete. We went back to them and said, how are you now? 40% said, we can sleep better now, which left 60%, no, not acceptable. We went back to them, again did work with them, again did work, and when 95% had said, we are sleeping normally, at that time I said, my job is done. So that is really the connection between head, heart, and hand, Harish.
So you're saying really that head and hand alone is not enough. Heart is important. Yes, of course. Please go ahead. But this is such a beautiful incident that Sanjeev has narrated of why heart is most important. Heart is as important, if not even more important, than the head and the hand. When some of these when some of these crises happen in our lives or in our careers. Yes, please go ahead, Sanjeev.
So let me read from here. The heart embodies passion and the intensity of desire. Passion ignites focus and effort, transforming work into an enjoyable pursuit. The mind brings about intellectual commitment, and the hand performs the intensity of effort. If the heart and mind are aligned and not the effort, success will not come your way.
Yeah.
So nothing will happen.
Then it's only in your mind.
If the mind and effort are aligned, not the heart, you may get the results, but there is going to be stress. You're forced to do something. If the heart and effort are aligned and not the mind, you do not know which way to go. So, unless all the three come together, it's not going to work out the way you want it
No,
to.
very, very well put. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Sanjiv Sarin and what he has mentioned just now. I want to move on to something that I noticed while reading this book, Sanjeev. When I read it at the manuscript stage itself, and when I was thinking of writing the foreword, you know, through these pages, there is a kind of spirituality that flows through the pages of this book. And I have also known of Sanjeev's close association with the Art of Living Foundation and with Guruji Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. But I want to ask, corporate leaders and spirituality not often go together. You don't think of both these going together. Corporate leaders are seen as, in a different world from spiritual leaders and spirituality. So why spirituality when you were working in the corporate world? Did it help you as a leader and as a person? And I'm asking, you have more than 100 people gathered here. Should every leader have a spiritual element to himself or herself? Or is a leader, is this something which is essential or something which is optional? What is your view of spirituality for people like us who are laymen, who are not otherwise in the world of spirituality?
Let me address the last bit. I cannot be prescriptive, Harish.
I understand that.
So
Yeah.
it's your choice. All I know is that, listen, you have to find your mojo and see what works for you. Okay, I cannot say this. This happened to me, and I've shared what happened to me. There are people who've jogged their way through life and done it, a marathon, and reach wherever they want. So you got to find your way. But it is important. I think that you have to answer before is that what is it you want done? What are you expecting? You can play cricket, but if you want to excel, you need a coach.
Yep.
You want to be a javelin thrower, you can do it. If you want to excel, you need a coach.
Yeah.
So in life, okay, which is actually very, very simple, we complicate it with all these expectations and who am I, what am I, all that. If somebody can help you declutter your mind, help you simplify your life, become more human, why not? And if that is a spiritual master, so be it. If it is somebody else, so be it. Okay. And to me, one of the nicest things which I heard when I was on the journey of into the spiritual was Akshay tells me one morning, Dad, you're becoming a human. So for a kid who's
Yeah.
definitely going to be very critical of your life,
Yeah.
if he gets up and says that, I'm on the right path.
So then the penny must have dropped in your mind
Yes.
that you're
Yes.
heading in the right direction. Yeah. But Sanjeev, you have also spoken a couple of times in this discussion about Guruji Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. And I want to ask you this question very candidly. What is the role of a guru in one's life? Is it important for each of us here to have a guru? I'm not asking you to be prescriptive, but I'm asking you to reflect on your own experience and give us what your thoughts on this are.
Yeah. I must start from where. Okay, let me say, how is the word guru constructed? It is a mix of gu and ru. Gu means darkness, ru means somebody who can remove it. So, guru really is a person who helps you remove darkness. Now, if that is the basic principle and the meaning, I see no harm accepting anybody who can remove my darkness and whatever. Okay. So, in that way, Anybody who can guide me and hold my hand and take me forward, I would love to grab their hands. To me, when I began the getting on this path, Harish, like you mentioned, I was keeping it very tight to myself because 30 years ago, uh, it was even far more removed that a corporate guy can get into spirituality. They were unheard of. But as people began seeing the changes inside me, the calming down happening, I also became confident about talking about it. And the minute I accepted that I am on this journey and so be it, my life began to change.
Mhm.
And what was happening was my attitude began to change. My relationship to work began to change. All these issues began coming in. And so much so, Harsh, a very interesting thing happened. I was head of sales. One day,
This is your Cadbury's time.
Cadbury
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
director walks into my HR director walks into my room and says, Sanjeev, I know you're calm. At least pull your hair, ruffle them so you look tense. Okay. So, so a guru to my mind, honestly, it is not
So he was saying a salesperson cannot look calm.
at least show
Show
pressure.
pressure.
At least show some pressure.
Yeah.
But what my relationship with Sri, it's not that I'm hugging him, sitting him 24/7.
Understand.
It is your own personal openness to accept what is coming your way. It is to introspect what is coming because you can pick it up and do what you want. But the biggest gain to my life has been to listen, to read, apply it to myself. And when the application began happening, that is when the transitions began happening, Harish. So it is not guru or not, it is how you accept what is coming your way, how do you embed that into yourself. Those are the transitional things that make a change in your life.
But that would also need, Sanjeev, I think, a complete openness of mind.
Openness of mind and discipline comes automatically because you're experiencing change, you're experiencing transformation. So you get on the path and make it happen. And you have that guy Caldwell, somebody you said, 10,000 hours
Yeah.
to
Yeah. To
perfect. You got to go
practice.
walk the path.
Lovely. So I want to ask you an interesting question. You know, when I saw the title of this book, The Other Side of the Mountain, it actually reminded me of another book. There is a biography of J.R.D. Tata written by R.M. Lala called Beyond the Last Blue Mountain. And it reminded me somewhat of that title. But this is a very interesting name, Sanjeev. And what is one side of the mountain and what is the other side of the mountain? And I mean, who needs to cross over to the other side of the mountain?
Harish, I'm going to take you to your forward.
Of course, yeah, yeah. And how did you come up with this name? You can tell us that at the
I
end,
will come to that.
but go ahead. Yeah.
So Harish writes in this lovely book, Sanjiv Sarin invites us to climb the mountain with him and view the other side. It is a beautiful and therapeutic view because the green valley that he shows us can rejuvenate us and bring great calm and joy into our lives. Okay. Another guy. Dr. Naveen Rao, who's a senior VP at the Rockefeller Foundation,
Uh huh.
he wrote, Other Side is a remarkable memoir about a life that climbed one side of the corporate mountain only to find, by looping around to the other side, a path to fulfillment and deeper purpose.
So you're basically saying that the other side of the mountain is happiness and purpose and fulfillment in a manner
One
of speaking.
is that,
Yeah.
and I think the big difference is the path to get there, Harish. Okay. You can, both paths of a stressful, hardworking, and a path which is through the spiritual process of being calm. Spirituality just brings calmness, it brings focus, it brings collaboration, all those things also get you there. But as a person, what you see through the second process is so different from what you see from the other process. One brings you blood pressure and heart attacks, one brings you smiles and happiness. So the other side of the mountain to me is the journey upwards and seeing the beautiful pastures on the other side, which is enabled because of what you're doing.
So one of the things, Sanjeev, we keep reading in newspapers so often, people at a young age in their 30s, sometimes even 20s, certainly 40s, suffering from heart attacks, um undergoing a lot of stress in their lives. Uh, and you yourself have gone through, stressful situations. So to the younger people who are gathered here, who may be facing stressful situations in their lives, what would you say? What is one thing that you'd like to
Read this
mention
book.
to them? That, of course, yeah. That, of course, yeah, yeah.
No, no, seriously. Actually, if I look at it today, Harish, I find the engagement of the youth so much higher towards purpose, towards spirituality than in my days. Okay. People are taking years off to go and invest and work with NGOs, work with villages and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that's true.
Okay. People today,
I think our generation, we would never have left our corporate careers. We would have clung on to our careers, I would
absolutely,
say. Yeah.
when I was CEO in Philippines, CV would come to me, 6 month gap. So I said, what happened? I was tired. I wanted time off. Now,
That,
to me, that's heresy,
that would be unheard of in our
unheard
generation.
of.
Yeah.
And to me, to reconcile to that was a massive change I had to undergo through. So, to the youth, I think it's very, very important to keep something with you to keep your balance right. Okay. You can run after money. Nobody's saying money is bad. Okay. Money becomes bad if it stagnates, it becomes like the Dead Sea. Okay. If the money is flowing like the river Ganges and you're circulating it, doing good, it's fantastic. So, whatever you do, please go ahead and get into a process where you are supporting communities, doing meditations, look after yourself, calm yourself down, see the world through those eyes.
Lovely, Sanjeev. I think that's very, very good advice for young people here. Um, we have the last 10 minutes or so before I'm going to open it up for questions. And I want to ask you, it's now about 3 months since this book was first unveiled at the Bangalore Literature Festival. I still remember. And you spoke about Baikula prison, but I think this was where the old Bangalore prison was, roughly, where we unveiled the book at the Bangalore Literature Festival. And in those 3 months, what has readers' initial response been like? What have some readers told you about their reactions to this book? How has it impacted them? What's the kind of feedback you're getting? Because you would have spent, I'm sure, many, many months or years thinking about this book and writing it. It would have been a labor of love for you. What have the reactions been like?
Before even seeing what they have said, Harish, what it has done to me,
Sure.
the feedback that has come to me from the book, it is humbling. Very often I feel I didn't deserve it. I don't know what I have gone and produced that people are responding in this particular way to me. And even before coming to how responses came later, I'll just read one endorsement from a person like Dr. Marshall Goldsmith
Of course.
from
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah.
You all have heard of Dr. Marshall Goldsmith,
Yeah.
the guru of thinking, the guru of coaching,
Yes.
globally number one. Okay. I sent him the manuscript like I sent it to you.
Just out of the blue.
Out of the blue. Okay.
I mean, a person like him, I wouldn't even expect him to respond.
Nor did I.
Yeah.
Nor did I. And 4 in the morning when I got up, I opened my mobile and there was a message from him.
Wow.
Okay. And Harish, can you imagine my state of mind when I read his message? I had to go and wake up Vinny and says, listen, you have to read this with me. I can't handle it on my own. Okay. And
Yeah,
this
can you
is-
read that
I
out
will
for us?
read
What
that
did
out.
Dr. Marshall Goldsmith say?
Yeah, I will. The other side of the mountain is a deeply moving journey into self discovery, spirituality, and purpose. Through personal reflections and transformative experiences, Sarin invites readers to explore the beauty of resilience, love, and inner peace. This book is an inspiring testament to the power of introspection and spiritual growth, and it offers a guiding light for anyone on their own journey of self awareness and enlightenment.
Very, very powerful words. I think
Very
a round of applause,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
So
An endorsement like this from Dr. Goldsmith, I think, is worth its weight in
yeah,
gold. But also tell us, Sanjeev, readers who have picked up this book over the last 3 months, what have they told you? What have they told you about what their reactions are? What is the impact it has had on them? Can you share some of that with the people who are gathered here? And ladies and gentlemen, in the next 5 minutes, I'll be throwing the session open to questions. So if you have any questions for Sanjeev, please think through them in your mind and we will come to you very shortly.
I keep a track of some of these messages, so I've got them on my
Of course,
app.
you can read out the messages you have
Okay.
received
So
from
one was
readers. Yeah.
a life-changing messages in an easy to understand presentation style without high-flown jargon, a thought-provoking integration of mind and heart, which should be the new art of management with a human touch and still delivers outstanding results.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I have often thought, Sanjeev, that a book like this can fill an important gap in the MBA curriculum. It's a book that every person hoping to become a manager and leader should read. Yeah.
And in the last 3 odd weeks, Harish, I've taken this book to 2 business schools.
Lovely.
And it's been so nice to speak to the young MBA students. And my pitch to them is, listen, I'm not coming here to preach. You guys are going into the marketplace. You have all this imaginations of money and competition and all that. I am just giving you one more way to look at working life.
Okay.
Choice is yours after that. Okay. What an incredible memoir. Sanjeev beautifully weaves lessons from his professional and personal journey into every chapter, making it impossible to put down. I really like the explore at the end of each chapter, which Sanjeev has crafted by wearing his coach hat, compels the reader to reflect on their own lives. For me, it is a guide for introspection and growth. Rarely do you find a book you actually want to slow down for. Like a perfectly crafted mocktail, I'm savoring every single sip. Most books are meant to be read. This one is meant to be tasted, choosing to linger. Every chapter feels like a moment of pure serendipity. I'm not ready to experience to end this book. Each chapter is a lucky discovery. While the cover promises a quiet calm, the pages inside are an explosion of life in every imaginable hue. Don't let the serene cover fool you and take it as a promotion of detachment. Inside, it's a vibrant, kaleidoscopic journey taking the reader through the myriad colors of life.
Very nicely written. Very nicely written, and I think worthy of the book, Sanjeev. Very good
Yeah.
to see such
And one
reactions.
last
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
One guy writes to me, Sanjeev, yesterday I was very down and out on my business problems. In the morning, I read the first chapter of your book, and I'm feeling so much lighter in my head.
Wow. That's
Now,
that's
when you get
wonderful sentiment. Yeah. Yeah. No, that must be very gratifying to you as a writer when people
you are
respond
an
like
author
that.
of multiple books, Harish. You
Yeah.
know when a customer reader's feedback comes to you, what it means. Words like this to me are difficult to express what they do to me.
Absolutely. They mean a lot. One last question, Sanjeev. We are all marketers, and when we market a product, whether it's Cadbury's chocolates or Tata tea, we think of a target audience. Is this meant for housewives from Uttar Pradesh, or is it meant for working professionals from another state and so forth? So, does this book have a target audience? Who should read this book, and why should they read this book?
I think it's a very
Yeah.
fascinating question because I was confused
Yeah.
the hell before I said this is what's going to happen. I
Mm.
initially began saying,
And you're a marketer at heart,
yes,
in
I
a
am.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. My initial thing was, I am a devotee. This will address the Art of Living group, which is massive globally. These two said, nonsense. It has to be for the global youth. When I began getting responses from of the leaders and saying this is the response coming in, my mind shift happened. And I honestly believe this book cuts. My target initially was people from the late 20s to early 40s, mid career, going through issues, confusions, those kind of things. I began getting responses that at every stage of your life, these questions are relevant. Okay, so therefore, anybody and everybody should be reading these kind of issues, and it is very important in today's life where things are getting so fragmented, tension, pressures, depression, these kind of thoughts need to be coming up. When we were in the business school, they said the faculties were so happy that we are talking about these issues. So the reason people should be reading is because it is a no hold bar stripping of myself. I have not held back anything to look good, feel good. Okay. What has happened has happened. I'm at a stage of my life where I couldn't be bothered if somebody thinks you written crap. This is what has happened to me. This is my downfalls that have happened. How did I pick myself and go forward? Read it for the sheer truth behind it and find a way to get in touch with yourself, because ultimately how well you know yourself, how you're able to calm yourself, how you get focused, build relationships is going to make a difference to your life. So that's where my target right now is. And why should they read the book?
So your target audience moved from the
It
initial.
moved,
Okay.
moved completely.
You know, there may be a few people here, Sanjeev, who want to write a book themselves. Their memoirs could be, or could be things which have happened to them in their life. And writing a book is not easy. Can you share what the experience was like? And immediately after this question, we'll open it up to questions from the audience.
You are
When
better,
did you start
you are
writing
better
this?
place to answer this
No,
question.
I know, but
Harish.
I think as a debut author, how long did this take you, and how did the book come together?
So let me be honest. I began writing this. I looked at my laptop. Was in 21.
During
21.
the pandemic.
Yeah, I began writing it. It got rejected, and it was more biographical. This happened. This happened. This happened, and I went about it again. And very fortunately, one of the ladies who was sitting over there, I gave my uh, thing to her after having got it rejected, and she said, "Sanjeev, it's your communication style. Stay with it. And secondly, the questions you're asking, try and use that. That's a great hook." Something triggered with that. And that is when what I began doing, Harish, was after a long hiatus about not getting into it, fed up. I just began putting thoughts as they were coming, how I had got impacted by spirituality on my mobile. I just kept putting it down, putting it down, putting it down.
Just noting it on
Just
your mobile.
noting it down, this is what's happening.
In the notes app.
In
or
my
something.
notes app.
Okay.
And gradually, when I began writing, these things began forming part and parcel of what I was saying, what I was experiencing.
So those dots connected later, you're saying.
The experiences were true, they were happening
I
there
understand.
and then.
Yeah.
Experiences were there. But just stringing them together and making sense out of it began when I began putting it down and scripting it.
So there was a part where you were just noting down your observations,
Yes.
and then there was a part of synthesis where they were coming together.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And as things happen, a very dear friend said, I wanted to get edited. And she said, Sanjeev, I know what you're going through. I know the subject. Let me help. And this is when miracles start happening, where you're on the path, when you open yourself. And it was fascinating because she helped me clean up whatever happened. I was told publishers are very difficult people. Do self-publishing. A friend of mine said, go to Speaking Tiger. I sent my manuscript to them. He said, Sanjeev, I want this. So things just happened after that, Harish.
So miracles, but miracles that you crafted for yourself.
I suppose so. Yeah.
My name is Uday Kumar. In the corporate world, there is a possibility that you have to come across a time when you have to fire the people.
Just repeat that.
You have to remove the people from their job. You are,
Fire people.
as a leader of the
Yes.
organization or
Yes.
as a leader of a group, you
Yes.
may have to.
Yes.
So, how do you expect the other person to accept that you are firing him? And you may not be stressed, you may not be angry about that, but the other person, maybe he is a non-performer, maybe he is a does not have the skill. So how do you help him, or how did you come across by any chance, or you never came across such a situation?
No, I came across it. Okay, and it is part of the book. Okay, so let me answer. I'll take 2 3 minutes more. Then I have to explain how different things happened. So the first time when I was told that there's a non-performer, he has to be terminated, and to me it was a panic situation. My heart was palpitating. How can I tell him? And the pressure was intense. Do it, do it, do it. Finally, I got fed up. I called the guy, come and meet me. He came. I said, "You're not performing. Please leave." That is all the conversation I had with him. He had tears. He walked out. I never saw him again. He never saw me again. I felt guilty because who am I to judge a person? People are judging me, I'm judging somebody else. That was one botheration that I was having. And secondly, this person is accountable to a family, to a society, and one day you snip it off, just didn't feel right. Many years later, again a situation came, a very senior person was not performing, and it was the board after me saying he has to be relieved. I was not going to accept this anymore. I had been through all this. I said, listen, let me get into the depth of it. This man had been parachuted into the country because the country was in a financial mess. He was somewhere else as a country head. He was flown down and brought in here. He cleaned the business, brought it back to an even keel. Now the business is ready for growth. Now you want this guy who's a financial wizard to become a business developer. Where is the problem? With you or with him? Right? Answer that. You got to face up to it. And this went to and fro. Finally, we accepted that, listen, it's unfair on him because we haven't done our job. We can't hold the other person accountable. So we plucked him out, sent him to another location. He was very happy. We are still friends because we can't say we parted. We thought this through in a logical way. We got a new person into the job, a high growth FMCG guy. And the message we left with the team was that, listen, we will not accept non performance, yet we will do right with people, which I think was a fabulous message to be given. Now, that really is the difference which I experienced in myself of handling these two different situations. And let me also add, when I was going through this turmoil, I read this book on leadership by the Dalai Lama, which he mentioned that if you're taking an action which is in the benefit of the larger communities, it is all right. So that gave me a lot of self confidence that, listen, it's all right to do it.
Yeah. Yes,
Hi.
sir.
Yeah, Sanjeev, hi. Uh, I'm trying to establish a pattern. Another global CEO, high performing CEO, heads Microsoft from your school. He attributes a lot of his passion to the fact that he had a challenged child.
Hear you.
He had a challenged child at home. My question to you is, would you attribute a part of your passions, a tad personal, to a sibling that you had in your family?
100%, Brian.
Thank
My
you.
sister was a challenged child. I have experienced being with her. I have experienced patience in trying to understand her, ensuring she's looked after, trying to understand her words when her vocabulary was her own, which nobody else could understand. And I had to do it and realize that, listen, she's dependent. She's dependent on people like me, and I have to be there. And I actually talk that she's my first Buddha in life. So that just softens you, sensitizes you, and that is what the path to spirituality really is.
Hi, I have two questions to ask. I'll keep it as brief as possible. So, and I want answers from your experience, of course. So, first, I've always had this deep sense of wanting to do something for the society or community. And recently, my mentor and role model in life in general has managed to do that. And I have one on one sessions with him on a weekly basis. And I can see that this guy is pretty close to reaching a self actualization stage. But in this process, I have recognized in myself that I'm increasingly having a very deep sense of disdain for the corporate life in general. Like, I find it on a daily basis that it hampers my ability to operate, in the sense that if there's a minor inconvenience, I'm like, oh my God, this is how corporate life is supposed to operate. I can't wait to just get out of here. And at the moment, it's not practical, of course. I do want to earn more money. So I want to understand from your uh, experience, how do you manage these two conflicting emotions and navigate this, like how you've navigated this through your journey of spirituality? And just a quick situational question as well. So I have recently have had some managerial responsibility, and I have been aiming to develop my managerial philosophy in the way where it is grounded in trust. But recently this trust was broken by someone, and I'm having a very tough time in maintaining that with the rest of the team now. And it is really bothering me in the sense that now I feel like I am becoming a sponge where I have to keep all these emotions inside of me of distrust that has been caused. So how have you ever handled this such a situation where you uh, put a trust in your co-workers, but it was broken, or like how did you, yeah, basically navigate the situation?
Which question do you want to answer first?
The first one, yeah. Sorry for the long.
It's true that this conflict happens, but you have to realize this conflict is going to happen not because you incorporate, because it is where you are and where you perceive yourself. Wherever you are, entrepreneur or whatever, this conflict is going to happen. Till you clarify to yourself what is your purpose in life. And without actually having taken permission, Akshay, can I talk about your life? So he was a very high performing, not industry guy, working with Red Bull, setting up their music career and all that. He said that is not his life. That 9 to 5 is your job. Mine is giving back to society. He walked out and began his own giving back community, okay, helping the people at the lower end and stuff like that. That is an extreme. So, at what stage are you ready? What are you willing to give up to gain something else that only you can answer? Okay, that's one. Secondly, we somehow seem to demonize corporate everywhere. Okay, what is corporate? It's a bunch of people, and a bunch of people have a task, and the task needs to get done. Nobody says you should not be a good human being because you're working in a corporate. Do they say that? No. So if they don't say it, what is the problem? We put blinders on ourselves, we put guardrails on ourselves. Like I hid my own spirituality 30 years ago. Okay? If you're a good guy, great. People will gravitate to you. People come to you because A, either you hold power or because you're a natural magnet. Do you want to be a natural magnet, or do you want to be a hierarchical guy that once your seat is gone, who are you? Who are you? So it's a very personal choice which you need to make.
Yeah, good evening, sir. My name is Karthik, and thank you so much for the talk. It was very enlightening. You were mentioning that the distance and the introspection is what builds resilience, right? Those are mind awareness. Is there any physical awareness that you practice in the midst of the storm? How do you maintain the calm? And if there is anything of a physical awareness that you have, that you practice? Thank you.
Last page of my book, Guiding Principles to Living Intention and Compassion. Meditate, be sensitive to others, serve society however you can, stay mindful of your actions, find your mojo because you control your life's path, connect your head, your heart, and your hands. You got to practice this. Now, these are easier said words than doing. It needs commitment, it needs discipline, it needs follow through. Nothing comes to your hand easily. You have to give yourself to it. Okay, and it all depends how much you want it and what is giving to you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Arjun. So, firstly, thank you for simplifying the meaning of corporate. So, drawing on your experiences as someone at the helm of the corporate world, you have sort of elevated yourselves or your realization. Uh, you've elevated yourselves to understanding things from a spiritual lens. So, how do you bring yourselves to negotiate the commercialization of spiritualism on the other side of the mountain?
So who's doing that? I don't know. Commercialization. If you're saying that people are rampantly using spirituality to make money and not doing that, not good. Okay, and I will not support that. Spirituality is a very personal experience. What does that mean? No, there is no negotiation. Please understand. You cannot have a spiritual life and say I'm a different person and I have a mercantile life which is different. You are a human being. What you do impacts you here, impacts you everywhere. You have to integrate the two. There was a time when I still remember it was a conference and I stood up very confidently and saying, listen, I'm a different human being at work and I'm a different human being at home. And I was very proud of that statement. And afterwards, I felt, what the hell am I talking about? If I'm constantly switching between these two roles, I'm creating stress. Is that what you want to be? So there is no negotiation. It is who you are. It is what you are. There was a fabulous hoarding many years ago, I think on Tata, on Pedder Road in Bombay, which said that be who you are, every other position is taken. Right? So please be who you are. Be true to yourself. And then there's no negotiation.
Hi, Harish. Hi, Sanjiv. This is Kenneth here. Sanjiv, of course, I know you, in the recent years, you've sort of established your practice as a coach. And I wanted to sort of know how your spirituality has also informed your coaching practice. And perhaps also a side question on that is, how has your practice as a coach informed the reflections that you've had of your life? Because
Hugely, correct? Hugely. First of all, I got into coaching because of my spiritual journey. Because to me, as I went on the path, human being became central. Coaching is that. And if I could untangle my own life and my own mind through this path, it only seemed right that I can spend time for other people to unwind, unshackle their mind space. So it became a natural extension for me. And yes, it is a pretty strong part of my coaching because the example I gave earlier about this personal leadership doing visualization questioning was pure coaching and using those tools for the person to understand what's happening.
Hi, good evening. Amit Sachdev. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations to you on your first debut book, if I may borrow the word from Mr. Harish. Looking forward for more as well. If I want a small question is, if one thing you had reflected upon post the publishing in last 3 months, one more thing you could have added, if you can add up on that.
More thing I could have done.
Added in the same book which has got missed out, if at all any.
You know, it's a very interesting question because for the simple fact that publisher said your book is too small. They're 25,000 words. It began with 16 and kept going up. The first time I went to a publisher said, unless it is 50,000 words, don't come to us. Okay? But I have the reverse that I will not put words if they haven't impacted me. This is what has happened to me. This is what it is. I am not going to put fluff around it. So to me, I would do nothing more. If I was doing anything more, I would be lying to myself and to lying to everybody outside. And I wouldn't be able to answer this question truthfully to you.
Hi, Sanjiv Natarajan. Knowing you, there must be a particular reason that phone is framed.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted that
I will
asked.
tell you. I survived because of this phone in Taj. So this phone I had, and you know, it's surprising, Natty, that phone lines went dead. Airtel worked. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And it's because of this phone that they could keep in touch with me, my friends could keep in touch with me and keep me alive. So, this my son has framed and kept with me as my survival tool from the Taj. For the 60th birthday, he gave it to me. Yeah. Thanks for asking this question.
Good evening, sir. So, my first question is talking about spirituality. One of the core tenets of Bhagavad Gita is performing actions without any attachment towards the results. Were you able to emulate that in your career, especially in a corporate career? And secondly, since ma'am is here, I wanted to ask for any person who is purposeful and aspires to be a leader, what is the importance of a right life partner?
Second part, you ask her. No, no, honestly, where I am today is because of her. Okay? And I also have to say, I give a public apology because I have had two serious kind of accidents, and I have to apologize to her taking her through this. One was when I bumped my head and got into the spiritual path, and then 2611 happened. But both those took me to a higher level of spirituality. So while I have to say sorry, I also to thank her for what happened. Sorry, what was the first question you had? Do you have an option? Do you have an option? You can do what you want, you don't control the result. All you can do is by taking the actions, you are better prepared for result to happen. That's all. Who would have anticipated Hormuz is going to close?
Yeah, I'm Sunil Kumar. Glad that I able to meet you after 50 years. Madhura coach, we worked in the same organization. See, to err is human, to forgive is divine. Yeah, to err is human, to forgive is divine. This is a famous proverb, 1711, Alexander Pope. In a corporate world, I just want to ask you, were you too human or too divine?
To me, divine and human are one. I can't separate the two because only the human can be divine, and every human is divine. Okay, and you just have to find the divinity in the other person to say yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sanjeev, there are two terms that we come across in spiritual reading. One is swabhava and one is swadharma. And swabhava is your innate nature, your proclivities, your talents, your temperament, and all of that. And there is another thing, which is swadharma, which is what you actually do in your life. So it could be your job, it could be anything. All right. In my understanding and in my own personal experience, when these two come together, then literally magic happens, right? Because then, just life just happens for you. You're doing something that you love to do, and it goes into a completely different level. So have you come across in your own life a situation or a job or anything that you did where actually these two didn't align?
All my jobs till the last one, which I mentioned in the beginning, heart, head, hand have to align, which basically is what you were. When that is not happening, there is stress. And I've experienced that. When I said in the mid-career, my head and hand aligned, but the purpose was not there behind it. And I could feel the stress. And it is because of all the practice and introspection, when I began to move out of that and understand who I was, understand my realities, that I took charge of my life. And that is when it all happened. The magic happened at that time. Absolutely right.
Vijay Mirchandani, you had mentioned that it's entirely up to you whether you want to use spirituality to better yourself, etc., etc. But I have a different view on this, that to make a better manager, there has to be some sort of transformation in the individual, some evolution, so that he's a wiser manager and he's got the wisdom to manage better. So that is never taught in business schools. It's academic, it's case studies, stuff like that, So I think you also mentioned that shouldn't be part of the curriculum. So that was my view on that. So I'm just sharing.
No, you're right. If it's part of the curriculum, it's fascinating. And I've also had, we were in the Bangalore Lit Fest when Harish presented his book, doing the right things on Ratan Tata. My only observation was, what was that inner grounding that enabled him to do it? What you've experienced is like what you've seen outside, he's done this right. There has to be a grounding. Or the title of J.R.D. Tata's book, The Other Side of the Blue Mountain. That outside will happen if the inside has happened. You can't give what you don't have. So you really have to work inside you, and then you can offer it to the world. And the earlier you start, the better off you are. I didn't want to pontificate, so I had to take that stance.
I'm Rabindra Mirani. Sanjiv, I first met you about 12 years ago. Now, you've been a director in the art of living for the corporate programs. I haven't read the book, but have you shared something about that experience? Because I've seen that from up close, and the changes that used to happen in just those 3 days or 4 days in groups of corporates that used to come. Initially, they used to come with huge egos, and by the third day, fourth day, they were sitting on the floor doing this and that. So, if you haven't shared, could you perhaps share what your experience was in seeing this transformation in what we used to call, big honchos?
Big honchos are big egos. No, I began my thing itself saying that, listen, I experienced a change inside myself. And you don't need to talk about what's happening to other people. The second half when I became a teacher was helping other people unburden, de-stress, and follow that path. So I really haven't talked about specifically about a particular program, because it's just been broader platform of spirituality, what it can do. So I haven't talked specifically about this, but you're right. Spirituality really helps you manage your being a human. Look at your ego. You can't run away from your ego. Your ego is there, is to accept it and realize that when it is becoming detrimental to you. So it's your awareness which comes in, okay, which is fundamental. And humility which comes in, relationships which come in. It all happens because of all the practices saying that, listen, calm down, calm down. You don't have to run around things saying, I am this, I am that. That is what causes all the differences. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Kusum Mongia. My question is a little bit on the practical side. I am a facilitator of mindfulness. So what I have seen that to get deeper into self-awareness or in spirituality, you need time. You need space of mind. In today's world, especially the younger age group, the market you might be targeting, they do not have that commodity. So what practical advice would you have, especially for the younger folks, to create that space of mind, that space of energy to devote to the self-awareness journey, which can help them in the rest of their life?
So let me ask you a question. These youngsters, how do they find to chase their boyfriends and girlfriends? Where do they get the time?
I agree, it's a prioritization. So how do you help them prioritize that?
So the question is, they have to feel the importance in their life of what it is. They have to experience it. Unless they experience the tip or whatever benefits, it's not going to work. You can't force anybody to do it. I still remember when we did the first corporate program in Cadbury decades ago, the HR head and I had just an agreement, even if 15% of the people stay on the path, our job is done. So it's really that. You cannot force anybody. And let me tell you, this time is a bogey. I have been asked, how do you manage to take courses of programs and yet work in a corporate world? Honestly, my belief is because of the practice, your mind is so alive, mind is so focused. What you need 10 hours of gossiping, you can finish in 7 hours. You've actually generated 3 hours. What do you do with that? Do all this. So you just need the right, possibly role models who talk about it. Okay, and that's where it is.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the wonderful, wonderful interaction.